Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Fairy Tale Land once again. I would like to read from a book today called 13 Danish Tales. And it's retold by Mary C. Hatch. And this is a Danish fairy tale. And if you don't know what Denmark is, well, it's in Europe. It's in Northern Europe. Okay? You'll find this very interesting. It's called The Talking Pot. Once upon a time, there was a man so poor that he had nothing in the world but a wife, a house, and one lone cow. And after a time, he got even poorer than that. And so he had to take the cow to market and sell her. On the way, he met a fine-faced stranger. "Well, my good man," said the stranger, "whither away with that fat cow?" Meaning, where are you going with that cow? "To market, and thank you," said the man, though the cow was far from fat. "Then perhaps you will sell her to me," said the stranger. Yes, the farmer would sell, and gladly, provided the price were $20 or more. The stranger shook his head. "Money I cannot give you," he said, "but I have a wonderful pot that I will trade you." And he showed the farmer a three-legged iron pot with a handle that was tucked under his arm. Now, truth to tell, there was nothing at all wonderful looking about the pot, and it might have hung in any chimney in the country. Besides, the poor man had nothing to put in it, neither food nor drink, so he declined to make the trade. "Money I need, and money I must have," he said, "so you may keep your wonderful pot." But hardly had he said these words, then the pot began to speak. Wow, a pot can speak? Take me, cried the pot, "and you'll never have cause to rue it." Rue it means to regret it. And so the man changed his mind and made the trade. For if the pot could talk, then surely it could do other things too. Well, that makes sense, right? Home he now returned, and when he reached there, he hid the pot in the stable where the cow had always been kept, for he wanted to surprise his wife. Then he went inside. "Well, good wife," he said, "fetch me a bit to eat and a sup to drink, for I've walked a long mile and back today." But his wife would do none of it till she heard about her husband's success at the market. "Did you make a fine bargain?" she asked. "Fine is fine," said her husband. "That is well," nodded the wife, for we've a hundred places to use the money." "But it wasn't a money bargain." "No, indeed," exclaimed her husband. "Not a money bargain? Well, pray then, what had the good man gotten for the cow?" cried the wife, and she would not rest till her husband had taken her to the barn and showed her the three-legged pot tied up in the stall. And then the good wife was angry. Trading a fine fat cow, though truth to tell, it was neither fine nor fat, for a common black pot that might hang in anyone's chimney? "You are stupid as a goose," cried the wife. That's not very nice. "Now what will we do for food and drink?" I mean, she does have a point. "If you were not so tough, I do believe I would stew you." And she started to shake her husband. But before she could do the poor man much damage, the pot began to speak. "Ooh, here we go again." "Clean me and shine me and put me on the fire," said the pot. And at that the woman sang a different tune. "Well," she said, "if you can talk, perhaps you can do other things too." And she took the pot and scrubbed it and polished it and then hung it over the fire. I will skip," said the pot. "How far will you skip?" asked the woman. "Up the hill and down the dale and into the rich man's house," cried the little pot. And with that, it jumped down from the hook and, skipping across the room, went out the door and up the road to the rich man's house. Oh, I wonder what he's going to do. Here the rich man's wife was making fine cakes and puddings, and the pot jumped up on the table and settled there, still as a statue. "Well," exclaimed the rich man's wife, "you are just what I need for my finest pudding." Then she stirred in sugar and spices and raisins and nuts, a whole host of good things, and the pot took them all without a murmur. In a few minutes, the pudding was made, and the woman picked up the pot and put it on the fire. But down the pot jumped and skipped to the door. "Dear me," exclaimed the woman, "what are you doing, and where are you going?" "I'm bound for home to the poor man's house," cried the little pot. And away it went, skipping up the road till it was back at the poor man's little cottage. Boy, I wish I had a pot like that. When the couple saw that the pot had brought them a fine pudding, the finest they had ever seen, they were very pleased. And the farmer said, "Now, my good wife, did I not make a good bargain when I traded our poor old cow for this wonderful pot?" "Indeed you did," said his wife, and she fell to eating the pot's fine pudding. The next morning the pot again cried, "I will skip and I will skip." And the wife said, "How far will you skip?" "Up the hill and down the dale and into the rich man's barn." The little pot replied, and out the house and up the road it went, skipping straight to the rich man's barn. The rich man's servants were threshing grain, and the pot skipped to the center of the floor and stood there still as a statue. "Well," said one of the threshers, "here is just the pot to hold a bushel of grain." And he poured in a sackful, but this took up no room at all. And so he poured in another and another, till there was not a grain of anything left in the whole barn. "A most peculiar pot," exclaimed the men, "though it looks as if it had hung in any number of chimneys." And then they tried to lift it, but it slid away from them and went skipping across the floor. "Dear me," cried the men, "what are you doing? Where are you going?" "I'm bound for home to the poor man's house," said the pot. And out the door it skipped, and though the men ran after it, they were left huffing and puffing far behind. When the little pot reached home again, it poured out the wheat in the poor man's barn, and there was enough to make bread and cakes for years to come. But that was not the end of its good deeds, for on the third morning it said again, "I will skip, I will skip." And the old wife asked, "Where will you skip?" And it answered, "Up hill and down dale to the rich man's house." And out the house it ran at once. Boy, I got to get a pot like this. Now the rich man was in his counting house, counting out his money. And when the little pot arrived, up it jumped on the table, right in the midst of all the gold pieces. "Wow, what a fine pot," cried the rich man. "Just the thing for my money." And into the pot he tossed handful after handful of money, till not one piece was left loose on the table. Then he picked up his treasure to hide it in his money cupboard. But the pot slipped from his fingers and hopped to the door. "Stop, stop," cried the rich man. "You have all my money." "But not yours for long," said the pot. "I carry it home to the poor man's house." And out the room it skipped and back to the poor man's cottage. There it poured out the golden treasure, and the old couple cried out with delight. "Now you have enough," said the pot. And indeed they did, enough and more too. And so the wife washed the pot carefully and put it aside. But in the morning the pot was off again, straight for the rich man's house. And when the rich man saw it, he cried, "There is the wicked pot that stole my wife's pudding and my wheat and all my gold. But it shall bring everything back, every last farthing and more." Then he grabbed the pot, but bless my soul, if he didn't stick fast. And though he tugged and he pulled, he couldn't get free. I will skip, said the pot. "Well, skip to the North Pole," cried the man, still furiously trying to free himself. And at that, away went the pot, and the man with it. Up the hill they waltzed, and down the hill, and never once did they stop. Not even to say hello or goodbye at all at the... Not even to say hello or goodbye at the old couple's cottage. For the pot was in a great hurry. The North Pole, you know, is far away, even for a fast-skipping pot. That was fun. I wonder what happened to the North Pole. I wonder if they both froze. Well, I don't want to think thoughts like that. Now, wouldn't you like a pot like that? I know I would. That was fun. Let's see if we can find a pot that will talk and skip and run away and bring us good things. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Have a great day, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.